in the international but also local
Shalom.
front. Billionaire
All
philanthropist
praises,
Bill
honor, and
Gates is at
glory
the
unto the
center of a
Most High,
heated
Yahweh
social
Ba'asham
media storm
Yahushai,
following the release
Ba'asham
of a new Gates
Rakakwadash, double
Foundation
honors to
advocacy
the
video
elders
featuring
and the
Nigerian rapper
apostles
Emma
of the great
Yabaga and
millstone, and
popular content
salutations
creators
to all you
Alai
sincere
Wasabi
camp.
and Brother
And
Shaggy.
this is your
Now,
brother
while the video
Abawan
was
back
seemingly
again
aimed at
with
promoting
another
awareness
video
around
through the
development
spirit
issues in
and power of
Africa,
Yahweh
critics are
Ba'asham
saying that it
Yahushai,
struck the wrong tone,
Ba'asham
suggesting that
Rakakwadash.
Bill
All
Gates,
praises and
once
glory
again,
is
is
due,
being positioned as
especially
a
in the
solution to
times that
Africa's
we're in.
problems, or a
Alright.
white savior, if you
And
will. Take a
this
look at this.
is,
this
shout out to the brother, Yarayala from Italy, because he's the one that put the spirit on me, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, of course, to put the spirit on me to actually do this video, because it's something that was buzzing for a while last month, but I didn't really go into it because I wasn't really that interested in it. And basically it was Bill Gates was featured in a skit here in Nigeria, and you saw the skit at the beginning of the video, right? So just a short video where you had a lot of famous skit makers, including a famous rapper, MI here in Nigeria, and they just featured him in the skit, right? And I guess the reason for that was in order to push the agenda for what is basically the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right? I think that's what they call it, right? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So let's do that. Bill, and here it is. So this is the Gates Foundation, right? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or the Gates Foundation, or whatever, which is basically the NGO. I believe it's an NGO that is set up by Bill Gates, right? In order for him to push his evil, wicked, normal Edomite. You already know what it is with Bill Gates, man. His evil, his Edomite agenda on the earth, under the veil of philanthropy. And this devil, right, has set his sights on Africa, because the funny thing is this, and just shows right that it's the spirit that set up the act to actually give me the inspiration to do this video. Because after I finished the call, with the arc, when I was talking to him, and he mentioned it that about that skit, that hey, that's suspicious, right? Based on all the things that are going on here in Africa, especially with Bill Gates and the push that Bill Gates is pushing here in Africa for GMO foods, and also forms of contraceptive and birth control, and also, right, because this is how these Edomites work, okay, especially the elites of Esau Edom, both the lower level elites, the mid-level elites like Bill Gates and them, and the high-level elites like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and the like, that they are putting their hands in so many baskets. So Bill Gates is in agriculture, right? He's also into medicine as well, which of course that's more or less the same thing, agriculture and medicine. So like I was saying, right, not only is Bill Gates involved in the GMOs, right, the GMOs that are being pushed right here over here in Africa, which I've done multiple videos on, right, the different GMO plants that are being used to, or being projected to, replace the actual natural plants that grow. And basically the justification is that, oh, this will be a easier way to end world hunger, because these plants are stronger, these plants can withstand disease, these plants can grow faster, and grow in different, and grow more frequently than your normal seasonal plants that only grow in certain periods or in certain seasons, right? But they won't tell you about the fact that the GMO seeds are basically copyrighted. So what that means is that, hold on, let me just pause this. I think that audio was playing. So like I was saying, GMO foods are basically copyrighted. So what that means is that they are owned by whatever company is selling you the seeds, right? And the plants that are grown from those GMO seeds cannot reproduce plants for you to grow. So you are constantly going back to that company or that corporation that sold you the seeds to constantly buy seeds to continue to grow more crops, and all the other all the other disadvantages associated with using these GMO crops. And then you begin to understand what you always commonly understand when dealing with Esau Edom, that this devil is a liar, okay? So this is how Esau operates, man. On the front end, he'll be telling you about all the good he can do with the technology or his witchcraft or whatever he's trying to push, right? But then when you actually, that's why the scriptures say, never trust thine enemies. So let's get that precept. Let's start from there. Okay, let's start from there. Because a lot of you Nigerians, right, you are seeing these things happen, and really, that's not even the case anymore. As much as I want to say that, oh, Jake said Nigeria are saying these things happen, and because they see this devil, right, this Edomite, taking an interest in what's going on in Nigeria, and pretending or putting up that veil, through Esau, through one of Esau's largest witchcraft firms, which is of course the media, right? That veil of helping to lift Africa out of poverty and out of hunger, and helping to develop Africa, and that kind of terminology, right? When in reality, right, the targets of these devils is not even Africa or Africans, it's you Jakes, right? You so-called Negroes, okay? The southern kingdom that are living here in Africa, right? So like I was saying, we've gotten to the point now. This truth has advanced so much to the point now where nobody is even, where everybody already knows the play of Esau Edom, right? Even the two-thirds, even the people of the world are no longer ignorant of Satan's devices, and that shows you that the spirit of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is truly beginning to expose Esau Edom for the devil that he is. Ecclesiasticus 12 verse 10. Never trust thine enemies, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, right? And this is basically the modus operandi of Esau Edom, and even the people that are in the world are beginning to see Esau Edom for what the devil that he truly is, right? Bill Gates can't pull or none of these devils really can pull the wool over the eyes of Jake anymore, even the two-third Jakes, and that's because of and that's of course through the spirit and power of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai has exposed you devils, right? And the world is beginning to see you for exactly what you are, which is the wicked, which the Bible speaks of. Ecclesiasticus 12 verse 11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his trust hath not been altogether wiped away, right? And even though he's coming, and that's the funny thing, because if you actually watch that skit, okay, and that was something I noticed while I was watching it, is that when Bill Gates comes into the scene, it's very obvious that he's not in the same location as the people that he's doing the skits with, okay? Like you're watching the skit, you see, like what, let me just quickly go to the video, right? Let me just quickly go to a video about it. So you see that I'm just looking through different videos just to get more information and more context on the matter, and really the only context that exists, for the skit is just that, oh, Bill Gates featured in it, he had a few clips in it, right? Which is just his way of, ingratiating himself, right? So basically gradually, gradualism, right? Ingratiating himself into the mind of you Jakes here in Africa to make it seem as though he is here for your good. But of course, what Esau Edom is going to begin to realize is that nobody is ignorant of his wickedness anymore, and nobody believes in his lies and deceits anymore, right? So let's go into it real quick. And Salaki, I couldn't actually find the original clip where it actually shows the where the original clip was uploaded from. I believe it was either TikTok or Instagram or X or Twitter basically, and I couldn't find the actual clip, so I'm just going to use the clips that were reposted from other people, right? So basically you see that whenever Bill Gates shows up in a scene, right, the scene is completely different from the scene where the other people are, or rather I should say the scene is completely different from where the other people are in, right? So this is MI right now, on the right side of the screen. I can see him on the top left as well. That is actually the he's a rapper, not a skit maker or an actor. And at the bottom you can see the image of the devil himself, right, Bill Gates. So let's play.
All right, let me hear it.
And you see, if you just go back again, let me just
What's the problem?
go back again.
Well, we're close, but it's
And
missing something.
All right, let me hear it.
you see what I'm talking about? they are not in this, they are, it's basically showing that they're not in the same scene. In other words, not in the same building, they're not in the same, possibly not even in the same location. So this devil didn't even have the decency to do a skit in the same location, in the same place with you, Jakes, man. And that shows you how Esau Edom really feels about you, Jakes. This devil didn't even have the decency to come and do the skit in person with these Jakes that he's using to push himself in the minds of you Israelites. Okay, and let me just quickly see if Bill Gates actually even met them in person. So I'm going to type down the name of one of the people that were into this. Let me see. Let's just see if he actually meets them in person. I don't think he did, right? There should be images of them, either shaking hands, right, or taking pictures together. But it doesn't look like that's the case. And I'm looking through it, and yup, nothing like that. Normally, if they actually met in person and filmed this skit together, you would see them, taking pictures together, right? You would see it on Instagram, all these different influencers and skit makers, because that's basically what these people are. They will try to use that picture to get themselves more followers. More followers means more influence. More influence means more money, which is exactly what they are after. And this whole debacle, right, has basically begun to expose a lot of these influencers on these are Nigerian influencers for being sellouts, because you have a lot of them as well promoting the GMOs, right? So basically you have guys like and if you're not clicked into Nigeria social media, Nigerian Twitter, you won't really know about these dudes, man. Guys like Aproko Doctor, them, right? I think, and so on and so forth. Really, there are many more. I don't really want to mention any names because, like I said, I don't really go too in depth. I didn't really go too in depth into this because I'm not really on X like that. I'm not really on Twitter like that. I'm definitely not on TikTok, right? And I'm not, the only social media I'm really on like that is YouTube. That's why, I can't really go and get the original video. But the point being is this, okay? What you are seeing is Esau Edom trying to increase, or basically what you are seeing is Esau Edom being the devil that he has always been. So let's go back to this Ecclesiasticus 12 verse 11, like I read. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Right, and just by simply observing, right, marking Bill Gates, you will understand that this devil is still very much a devil, right? So he comes out with this his Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, acting as though he's a benevolent individual, that he's trying to be philanthropic and help these poorer, African, East Asian, like India, for example, nations, in order to help them to grow and help them to improve their health and, their economy and so on and so forth, right? And this is it right here. You're seeing all the information basically. That's not the information basically, right? Like I said, he's involved in agriculture and health with the jabs, the juice, you still can't say what it actually is with the GMO. And also, and I mentioned this before, there was another bit of information that came out, right, that I saw, after I finished the conversation with the act that actually inspired this video, where I was going into how basically Bill Gates was trying to create let's see I want to show what I'm talking about right now. Let's see if I can find. Here it is. So yeah, let me go to it. So this is actually a post on X, Twitter, right? So this is basically what I was talking about right here. Bill Gates Foundation is set to launch the world's first contraceptive that will prevent pregnancy for 8 years in Kenya, right? And the funny thing is that this is basically sounds like sterilization, right? This basically sounds like sterilization. So this is what this devil Bill Gates is up to right now. Basically, he's, the usual thing that you expect from Esau Edom, man. All right, the wickedness of Esau Edom. Which is just him trying to destroy you Israelites, okay, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Let's not forget that this is the same Bill Gates that came out, right, and did a TED talk, how many decades ago now, talking about how he can possibly reduce the population of the earth, right, especially when it comes to, and this is what he has been doing. And this is what Esau Edom as well has been doing, to Jake for centuries now, right? Whether it's the forced sterilizations of the Northern Kingdom, right? Specifically the Latin women, that was Ephraim. I believe I forget when that actually happened. Let me see if I can go to that. I forget when that actually happened. When Esau was sterilizing let's see if I find this. Here it is. So just a quick I don't want to speak on it too much. Just quickly get into it, right? And this also happened to the Southern Kingdom as well, and it's also happened in Africa as well, right? Which is basically, this is how Esau Edom operates, man. That's basically what Bill Gates, right, is trying to do with this contraceptive, most likely. Now, I am not saying that, this is definitely what is going to happen. This is just me speaking as a man. And more importantly, this is not me giving medical advice, okay? Or saying anything. Right, like I was saying, this is not me giving medical advice, okay? But this is just me speaking as a man. I'm just saying what I think is most likely going to happen. And yes, lucky I've been talking for a while, but there is so much to cover because there are so many things that just this one individual alone is doing right now. To Jake here in Africa, man. You see how he's setting up all these different foundations, right, and all these different organizations, right, in order to push the agenda of Esau Edom here in Africa, okay? But let's focus on the one that actually is let's focus on the one that is actually the reason for this video, okay? What basically what he's doing in Nigeria. So let's go and get some articles on that. So okay, once again, Bill Gates to introduce, right, GMO seeds in Nigeria, and he also did it in Kenya as well. So it's not as though this is only happening here in Nigeria, but really this is happening all over Africa, right? But it's always important to consistently check the news because there will always be an update as to the things and as to the situation that this devil is setting up, because this is something that Gates has been doing since 2020, right? After the CV19, which is really when that's when these devils begun to really get exposed, because after that time period, man, everything is basically went forward and there was no going back. I forgot what they called it, but there was something that I forgot what they called it, but there was a term that was used during that 2020 period, Operation Deep Space or Space Sight or Insight or something like that, fast track. I forgot what it was called. Basically it was saying that after the CV19 that there will be no going back to normal or a world before the CV19. And in this world, right, that Esau Edom is trying to create for himself after the CV19, you have more and more people beginning to see this devil for what they truly are. So let me go back to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus 12 verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Right, and this is the ultimate. the ultimate plan of the elites of Esau Edom, which basically is that they are trying to set up the kingdom of heaven, right? The kingdom of heaven for themselves here on earth, and basically take the place of you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the scattered Israelites that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. They are trying to take your place as the rulers, right? The princes and the judges of this kingdom. And in doing so, right, these devils are, and in doing so, of course, these devils are doing it in wickedness and in unrighteousness, which is why you see the earth in the current state that it is in. All right, so let's also go to the book of Proverbs, okay, because it cannot be stressed enough, okay, how bad or how wicked or how evil, the plans that these devils, including Bill Gates, has, not just for you Israelites, right, but for the world at large, and how wicked, right, this whole GMO situation really is. Proverbs 29 verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And that's the reason why the earth is currently in the state as it is in, right? The whole earth, as the scriptures say, let's get that as well. The whole earth is out of course. So this is the book of Psalms 82 verse 5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course, right? Because Esau Edom is in rulership and he has basically twisted and turned everything upside down. So now let me also go to the book of Isaiah, the 24th chapter, right? Before I go into the video, because there's so many other things to discuss about. And amen. A lot of these Nigerians, right? JK in Nigeria, let me go back to that, right? JK in Nigeria, man, you JK in Nigeria are wicked as hell. So this is, let me see, let's see, let me go back to that, right? Let's go back to that. Here it is. So yeah, let me open this up. Nigeria's federal government launches Bill Gates funded GMO maize variety, names it Teller maize. And I've actually done a video on this article right here and on this maize, on this GMO maize as well, right? Warning you jakes that this is what this devil plans to do warning you jakes of what this devil plans to do on the earth. After all, is it not written that we are not ignorant of Satan's devices? And the reason why Bill Gates is pushing so hard for GMO to be accepted here in Africa, because like I said, it's not just in Nigeria, but it's in other parts of Africa as well, right? Nigeria's federal government has launched the genetically modified organisms maize variety named Teller, stating it is an effort to strengthen and boost maize production in the country. The Teller maize was registered and released at the Institute of Agricultural Research (IAR) at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, in collaboration with the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, founded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and other partners. And that's exactly what I was looking for. Hey, call you're watching your shy right there. That's what I was looking for right there. This organization right here, that's what I was looking for. Because this is more of an insight, right? The African Agricultural Technology Foundation, which is a research organization in Nairobi, Kenya, and of course it was set up by Bill Gates. Okay, now if you go to the website and you check all the documentation, they will say that, oh, this organization isn't set up by Bill Gates, right? But when you look at the contributor, you will see that the person that gives the most contribution or the most money to it is Bill Gates, right? So this is how Esau Edom operates, especially these elite level Edomites, right, where they set up all these different foundations and organizations and corporations where they either own shares in, right, through shareholding, right, or they contribute, donations to. And basically doing that is basically lobbying, like you see with these politicians. They can control and basically they control the what's what I'm looking for right now. What's what I'm looking for? So like I'm trying to, yeah, they control the operations and the decisions that are being made by those organizations. So the African Agricultural Technology Foundation is a not-for-profit African-led technology transfer organization that provides farmers in sub-Saharan Africa with practical technology solutions to overcome farm productivity constraints, right? And that shows you that it is targeting not you Africans but you Israelites, okay? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, because whenever Esau says sub-Saharan Africans, he's looking at Jakes, right? Basically Jakes that are scattered here in Africa, okay? Founded in 2003, that long ago, and it shows you how far back Esau has been planning this wickedness, man. The AATF is driven by the vision of a prosperous, resilient, food and nutrition secure Africa, where smaller farmers' livelihoods are transformed through agricultural innovations, right? And I'll probably go into that. I don't want to start, going too deep into this right now, right? Because I don't want to start going too deep into this. I'm just going to leave it at that, right? If I have any corrections, I'll post up a correction video, basically. So yeah, and the reason why I'm going into this, right, basically bringing out this information, is because of the situation that you have right now in the country, where you have even these celebrities that are coming out and endorsing this dude, because that's basically what that skit was. It was an endorsement of these, basically it was an endorsement to have so many of these popular influencers and individuals here in Nigeria to come out and say that they are collaborating and they are working together with Bill Gates in order to push forward for a better and brighter future. So expect a campaign or an organization or a slogan or some form of or some other form of marketing scheme, right, or propaganda scheme being set up by Bill Gates, right, in the coming few days, in order to push more of this his wicked agenda here in Nigeria, especially, okay. And the funny thing, this is how you know this whole situation is just messed, man, because the funny thing about this whole situation, this whole GMO thing, is that the arc, right, when I was talking to the brother Yala, he said that GMO seeds aren't even allowed in Europe. So I want to just quickly do this just to confirm that, right? Just to show what I'm talking about. GMO seeds allowed in Europe, and here it is. Are GMO seeds allowed in Europe? In Europe, the cultivation of genetically modified crops is heavily restricted, with only one maize event currently approved for cultivation. However, the EU allowed the import and processing of various GM crops for food and feed purposes, following a rigorous authorization and risk assessment process, right? So basically you have heavy restrictions, okay, which is basically just another way of saying that is not allowed, right, of GMO products in Europe. But when it comes to Africa, let's get that preset. Let me just go to that instead of saying it. I'll just let the scriptures, I'll just bring it out and let the scriptures say what I want to say. This right here, right, their own shepherds pity them not, right? Instead of following the footsteps of Europe and rejecting these GMO products, right, the leaders here in Africa, right, the fake shepherds here in Africa just decided to just let it go, right? Let Bill Gates and what's his plans and his agenda, let everything just flow freely into the African continent, right? So this is the book of Zechariah 11 verse 4. Thus saith Yahweh my power, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. And that's the biggest issue you Israelites face, right? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, not just the not just the southern kingdom, but the northern kingdom as well, which is basically the exploitation that is being done upon our people. And that's the curses right there, right? That's the stranger shall come into thy land, right, and shall let's just go and quickly get that, okay? Like I was saying, it's part of the curses that our people face, in general, not just the southern kingdom, but the northern kingdom, right? The exploitation of our people by the heathen nations and even by these sellouts, demons that are out here, man. And even the act said it as well, that look, that this whole situation is just like so many times you see in the scriptures, right? Like for example, what was the name of this guy, Jason, in the book of Second Maccabees, the fourth chapter, right? Because he wanted to be high priest, and he basically sold out to the Romans in order to put him in that position, and that shows you, man, that even till this day, you still have Israelites, right, that are in that lot selling our people out just for the benefits that Esau, Edom, this wicked devil gives them. So let's get this. Let's get to these precepts. Let's get these precepts. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 28, verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. Right, and that's the reason why. And this is just a showing you once again of the curses. Right, that's the reason why these Moabites, right? These Elamites, these Ishmaelites, and all these other nations can come into here in Nigeria and make so much wealth, right? That they are running all these different companies, all these different Chinese companies that you see here in Nigeria, right? Or whether it's the Japanese that are coming here and selling their cars and their bikes and their these Caterpillar, all these I've forgotten what they call them, right? All these forklifts and the like, all these big machinery, right? They are able to come here and sell that and make profits off you jakes, but you jakes are unable to do the same. That's why you see that Nigerians are being basically deported and rejected and turned away in almost every country on the planet, right? But all these different nations can come into your own country and make as much wealth as possible while being welcomed with open arms, because this is a part of the curses, right? As the scriptures say, it shall be a byword and a proverb in all the places where in the Most High Yahweh Sham. Let's get that precept. Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a byword and a proverb. Okay. Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither Yahweh shall lead thee. Right. And let's just keep going into the next one, because I've already gone into that. So let's just, here it is. Deuteronomy 28, verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Right. And that's exactly the situation that our people are facing all over the earth, which is why you Israelites are currently in the condition that you are in because of the curses. That's why Jake is at the bottom in this kingdom, right? And that's why devils like Bill Gates can come here into Africa and do all this wickedness and things, and basically things that he is unable to do in any other part of the world. He can't do this in Europe. He definitely can't do this in the Arab nations, right? He can't do this in the Far East Asian nations as well, but he can only do it to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and he can only do it to you so-called Negroes, right? Because it's mainly the southern kingdom that are here in Africa. That shows you right there that the curses are still upon our people, and it also shows you who the real Israelites are, because he definitely is not doing this to the small hearts. Okay. So yeah, let me go into this next. Let me get the next precept once again. Isaiah 24, verse 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, and broken the everlasting covenants. Right, and this is basically what these devils have done, Esau, Edom, in trying to set up a kingdom for themselves here on the earth, right? This is how Esau, Edom operates, because even the scriptures tells you, right, that that's his soul. Let me just go and get that. Let me just go and get that. I don't want to butcher it. So that's in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4. So this is the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Right. And that's basically what I was trying to get right there. That because Esau Edom is the wicked, that is why all these agenda and his wickedness basically pushed in order to, and that all this devil is trying to do is destroying the earth, because that's exactly what Esau Edom is doing with these GMO seeds, right? And I've already done videos going into that as well, about the records of how these GMO seeds basically damage, right, and destroy local agriculture. They take over the local crops that are supposed to grow naturally, right? And they also destroy the earth in which they are being grown from, and stop it from being able to actually grow regular crops, because this is how this is basically what Esau Edom purposely created it to do. That's why a lot of these GMO foods, you usually don't notice that they don't have seeds in them, and they can't grow plants from their actual seeds. And I've already mentioned this before, right? Because these devils want to set up that dependency where you are no longer going to the where you no longer grow the seed from the earth, but you are going to the devil, right? Your enemy, for want of all things. That's basically what this is right here. This is all a setup for Esau Edom's NWO, right? As Karl Schwab said, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And that's basically what these GMO foods are for, to ensure that you are constantly going to Esau Edom for that basically for your daily bread, to grow your crops and to grow the plants that you are going to eat, right? And then that's where also the whole idea of a bug diet, right? And basically replacing meat with all these GMO meats, right? Lab produced meat. That's where that is coming in as well, because these devils want to control every aspect of your life. So not just the buying and selling or the transactions, in the form of the MOTB, but also the food and drugs, okay? Yeah, the herbs of the earth as well, in the form of these GMOs. And we know that these GMOs are very toxic and very bad for the earth, because of how because Esau Edom is the devil which the Bible speaks of, man. And basically what these devils have done is they have, as the scripture said, defiled the earth. Isaiah 24 verse 6. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. And this is exactly why the Most High Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai is going to bring heavy judgments upon Esau Edom, man, for the destruction and the pollution that they have brought upon the earth. As the scriptures say, the Most High Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai will destroy him that has destroyed the earth. Okay. Alright, so I'll end the video right there. Once again, all praises, honor and glory unto the Most High Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai Ba'asham Raka Kwadash Wa Abad Babal, and through the Spirit of Yakim and Joaquas were edified. Shalom.